who your musical choices are.
32 rock bands, 4 divisions, 1 winner.
I can tap my toes to a couple of their tracks, but it was 21-0 for the Red Hot Chili Peppers here.
Oh my God, and it kills me. It kills me.
They're really good.
Find us on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you download your podcasts.
I'm never done quitting. I'm quitting the family. I'm quitting the podcast. Like, I'm done.
TheMoreThanYouKnow.com. Welcome to Balls and Brew. I am Jimmy. Williams is here. Chris is sleeping. We started about 6 minutes late, so he's got to sleep. He's tired. He's old, and Rod's taking the night off. Williams, I think Rod isn't here and Chris isn't here because they knew we were going to start talking about our Chicago Bears.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Hey.
The Bears couldn't get it done last week. Lost to the Packers. That sucks. Quick recap of last week. Went 1-2 against the spread. That sucks. And really, I felt like I should have won the 2 games I lost and lost the game that I won. So who knows? You guys were giving me credit for the Colts, but honestly, I think the Colts really were the right side in that game. If Goodson makes that catch, I think they win that game. So that was brutal. And 1-2. So we finished the year 31-25-1. So that's about 55% against the spread. Just kind of limping to the finish line though those last 2 weeks. So that kind of sucked. But the future best bet record that we did in the summer, I gave 1 team from each division, or 1 or 2. That went 5-4. So I was hoping for a little bit better there. Denver lost. I had them over 8.5. They lost twice to the Raiders this year. So that went under, and they had that brutal loss at home against the Patriots. So that was also 55%. So yeah, on to the playoffs. Hopefully some better picks for the future picks next year.
I was actually right about the Broncos. That's the only thing I was right about in my entire pick. So I'm very excited about that. So we do need to talk about our Chicago Bears, but right after, talk about that Colts game a little bit. I was obviously very, very fortunate enough to be there. Nice fight in the row next to me. Some blood, and this isn't like the first quarter. Not really sure what happened, but there was definitely blood involved. Here's a tip, Williams. If you get in a fight at an Indianapolis Colts, Houston Texans game, and you're wearing a bright green t-shirt, do not try to run away from the cops. Don't do it. Not going to work.
That's probably a good tidbit. What the world's going on there? I thought that only happened in like Rams Niners games, or just random LA games, or Vegas games, or what the hell? I mean, Indy. I thought that was a great place to watch a game. What's going on out there?
It is a great place to watch a game. Don't know what happened, but I will give. I'm assuming Indianapolis Police Department. They got there very quickly. Had the guy in some nice cuffs to enjoy the rest of his evening in a jail cell. But the amount of energy in that building, it was terrific. It really was. Goodson, wide open, had him. And then oh, go ahead.
So some people want to blame Minshew there. I don't think Minshew wanted to
including his head coach, by the way, his head coach.
I don't think Minshew wanted to lead him there because he knew he was going to get killed by the linebacker going straight downhill for him. I mean, he throws it right at him, and some people are getting on Steichen for putting in a cold guy on third down, but Taylor was gassed. I mean, you're on the field to do one thing. Just make the catch. You don't even have to, make it and go up the field. Just make the catch. You get 2 yards. You get a first down. I mean, that's a brutal way for the Colts to end the year, but I still continue to say that their future is super bright. I'm hoping that they move on from Gus Bradley because I just don't like his defensive schemes, and it doesn't match up well with Steichen's aggressive play calling. So I don't know. We'll see on that one, but I'm super high on the Colts next year.
And then yesterday we had a news or was that today? Days all run together here, but we had a Bears news conference where Matt Eberflus is coming back as the head coach of your Chicago Bears. And Kevin Warren, Ryan Poles were non-committal on the quarterback. They say they're going to watch everybody, all 4 of them apparently. I think he was talking about Fields too in there, but they're going to go over as many opportunities as they can to see what's best for the organization. Obviously, we're going to go in a new direction with the offensive coordinator. Getsy gone. Very good call there. Flus coming back, or Eber, apparently some people call him as well. Williams, your thoughts on Eberflus coming back?
I mean, we touched on it last week. It's just like the Bears always have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It seems like they can't just get rid of everybody or bring everybody back. And then it's not like there's a bunch of awesome head coaches out there right now.
Nobody.
I mean, like,
Nope.
what is going on? The Bears need to reassess their plan here. And not only the Bears, but I think the Jets and the Saints too. Like, why are the Jets bringing back Robert Saleh? Why are the Saints bringing back Dennis Allen? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Does it make sense though that you want a little bit of continuity moving forward? Because apparently everyone inside Hallis Hall, except for probably some coaches that got fired today, like Eberflus, love playing for him, love working for him. Doesn't that say something just to kind of keep that continuity going, or should we just not even worry about that?
Maybe. I mean, he did do a good job of like keeping the everything kind of going after what could have been like a really disastrous PR nightmare in the first couple of weeks
Sure.
with what was going on inside there. And we still don't even really know all the details with a couple of those stories. But I don't know. When you look at the quarterbacks that the Bears beat this year, it doesn't really excite you what he brought with the defense. I know the defense played well down the stretch, but I don't know, man. When you have a chance to, it feels like they're settling. It feels like they're settling. When you have a chance to upgrade, I would say go ahead and upgrade, but who knows? It's the Bears. So
speaking of those upgrades, bad day, bad week to be an over 70 head coach. First of all, bad day to be a very good head coach that people are really shocked that was going to be fired. But we had a lot of big firings, including arguably the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick, out of New England, Williams.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Where does he land up? I mean, where do you have any guesses on where he goes?
Well, I want to talk about where people are going. So let's just jump into that real quick, okay?
All right.
Of the openings, Williams, we have Seattle, New England, Tennessee, the Chargers, the Raiders, Washington, Atlanta, and Carolina, okay? Of those teams, there is one glaring team that stands out to me if I'm somebody who wants to go in and start winning, and that's going with a quarterback. The best quarterback, I think, by far. Now, not even saying our Justin Herbert bias here. Not even saying that. Even Chris needs to admit that Justin Herbert's the best quarterback of this group, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm Bill Belichick and I need however many more wins it is, it's in the teens, isn't it? For best ever?
14 or 15, yeah.
14 or 15. You've got 4 or 5 wins just with the quarterback there if he stays healthy. So if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm thinking I want to go to Los Angeles, and I want to go to Los Angeles right now. Los Angeles doesn't pay, though. That's the issue.
Yes. The Spanos family is considerably cheap. And I think the Chargers are going to go after actually Harbaugh before they go after Belichick. So we'll see on that one. I think Harbaugh is going to land in the AFC West, either with the Chargers or the Raiders.
Okay, now, hey, listen, you're our guy. Who's he going to?
I know. It's tough.
Yeah. I'm not letting you get away with it. You can do whatever you want with Rod and circle back all you want. But with Jimmy, I need an answer because I want to know when you're right and I want to know when you're wrong. Who's he going with?
What's wild is that he signed with an agent, the same agent as Tom Brady. We know that Tom Brady is now with the Raiders organization, and his wife is from Vegas.
Yes.
And so that makes me believe that he could land with the Raiders. But I think Antonio Pierce did such a good job down the stretch. He improved that defense so much, and all the players love playing for him. But Mark Davis has already went with some former coaches,
high-profile
interim coaches,
yeah.
and that hasn't worked out. So, in the end, I'm going to go the Chargers get Harbaugh. But
Harbaugh.
It's like 50-50 for me. But if you're making me,
yes, I am.
If making me pick, I'm going to lean Chargers.
Okay, then let's go to Vegas then, because we have Antonio Pierce, who did a very good job. People like playing for him, but it always has that. It's got the same thing like Carolina had. The Cardinals had a couple years ago with their interim. It's like, yeah, but we want somebody better. But do they have what they need in-house? Is Pierce going to be back, or are they going to go somewhere else?
I think it's between Harbaugh and Pierce.
Okay,
really
so Pierce
do.
is coming back in this scenario for you. And you know what? I say give him a shot. Why not? You're not going to have to pay him as much as a Belichick or a Harbaugh for sure. So might as well try.
The only thing with Pierce I would like to see better is I would like to see him more aggressive on fourth downs. There was a couple times where he punted like on 4th and 1, 4th and 2 from the opponent's territory, like the 47-48 this year. And I like to see him be a little bit more aggressive, but he's old school, man. He's like,
I was going to say he's coming from old school. Yeah.
So
he's not going for 4th and 4 on his own 40. That's not going to happen ever with Pierce, and apparently not on his opponent's 40 either.
Yeah, and he massively improved the D too. So, and we thought that D was going to be terrible this year, or at least I did. So,
and they kind of were in some games, and they came back. So I really do like that a lot. Speaking of defense, team that's known for defense back in the day, Legion of Boom. Heard of them? Pete Carroll begged for his job, apparently, according to, Pete Carroll. So Seattle's going in a completely different direction. I want to know who you think the coach is going to be, and is Geno Smith still on the roster to start opening day?
The second question's tougher. I think it's going to be Dan. I think it's going to be Dan Quinn.
Yeah. Doesn't that seem like
It's got the Seattle.
More the same? Do we really? Why not just keep Pete Carroll?
I mean, younger. That defense needs to get better. I feel like the owner and the GM felt like that the defense was underachieving this year with the draft picks they got. So, and the trades they made. So I feel like they bring Dan Quinn in. Dan Quinn creates a ton of turnovers with his defenses. And so, I think Seattle goes Dan Quinn.
Pete Carroll, do you think he's going to coach anywhere this year, or do you think he's just going to hang out in Seattle and be with Dan Quinn?
Yeah, I don't have Pete Carroll down for any opening jobs. I think he stays in Seattle for the most part, but man, that could be a curveball too.
So what I heard this pie in the sky. This is dumb, but this is awesome. The Chargers. Pete Carroll is a god in LA for USC. Why don't they go after him? And then why don't they just do a little call up to the Chicago Bears and say, hey, we'll take that number 1 pick for you. We'll take Caleb Williams with that number 1 pick. And we'll give you the 20th best quarterback in the NFL in Justin Herbert. Why not? There'd be a lot more picks from the Bears going on that side. But anyway, but honestly though, Pete Carroll to LA seems a no-brainer, really, just to get something going with the Chargers.
That would be wild. I mean, he is 72 though, and he seems like he's younger because he's always chomping that gum and jumping up and down. But I feel like they're gonna go all in to try and get Harbaugh to back to California.
So New England today has a big choice to make. In his contract, Gerard Mayo is the successor to Bill Belichick. Doesn't have to be, but it's something is in there that says they wouldn't have to go through all the interviewing process to hire him. Do you think he ends up the head coach there, or are they going to go in a different direction? Because again, this seems like more of the same.
Yeah, I feel like it's Vrabel.
You think Vrabel, because Vrabel became available? Hey, Mr. Mayo, thank you, sir. Love you to death. You're not Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, Vrabel's got more coaching experience, and just seems like Tennessee messed that whole deal up. And I mean, I don't think New England can pass up on this. Is Vrabel's dream job. And remember, the Patriots were nothing like in the 70s and 80s. I mean, that was until Brady and Belichick.
A lot of the 90s too.
Yeah. So when you got a guy like Vrabel, I mean, wanting to coach this team, he just got released from his Tennessee contract. So I feel like you got to go get him. I mean, I think Jared Mayo will get his shot eventually, but I think you got to go Vrabel here.
Okay. So that opens up a spot in Tennessee. So who goes to Tennessee? And is Will Levis someone that if you are a coach, you're excited to go there? Because is he the second best quarterback on this list?
Hey,
he may be the third.
That's tough.
Yeah, think about it. That's not a good list if he's the second or third best quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think he's the second or third. I'm going to go with a guy who is in their own division, and I think they're going to steal the Houston Texans offensive coordinator, PFF's own Bobby Slowick. I
Okay.
think that makes a lot of sense. I think he's not going to be expensive.
Exactly. Yep.
The Titans are going to be rebuilding for a couple years. And what he did with Stroud this year was awesome. I mean, nobody saw this coming. And before this year, you would have never even thought of Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Noah Brown and that those pass catchers to put up those years that they
right
had.
now. People don't think of them, and they're very, very good. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Bobby Slowick ends up in Tennessee.
I like that. I like that one a lot. Still haven't mentioned Mr. Johnson out of Detroit yet. I'm very interested to see where you have him going, if anywhere.
No.
Washington, the Commanders, new ownership, going to have a lot more money. I think they want to kind of make a splash. Who do you have going to Washington?
This is tough. Because this could be Belichick, but I think I'm leaning towards just Eric Bieniemy. I'm leaning towards Eric Bieniemy finally getting a shot.
But why wouldn't they have fired Rivera, 10 weeks ago and given him a shot then? That's my only concern with Bieniemy, is because you would have thought they would have gotten rid of him.
Yeah, I'm not strong on this one, but it feels like this is a chance to finally give him a chance to get his head coaching job.
Sure.
And it looks like, it feels like he was in waiting all year, and they just waited. I kind of gave Rivera the respect to finish out the year because he is a vet. And so I feel like they're going to move on to Bieniemy. But wouldn't surprise me if they try to make a splash here.
And of course, they're going to look for a quarterback, perhaps in the draft coming up. I believe they have it's the second pick. They do have the second pick this year. So that's going to be kind of enticing for somebody. They're going to get at least maybe a Drake May out of the NFL draft. Speaking of quarterbacks, Atlanta Falcons. Think about if they had an average quarterback. A top 40, like let's say they had Justin Fields, like the 41st quarterback, according to Chris King, who played this year. If they had a competent quarterback in Atlanta, I think the season would have gone a lot better for them. And a competent play caller too, by the way. So Atlanta needs some offense. They need somebody to come in and really reshape that organization. I'm very excited to see who you think's going to Atlanta.
So Atlanta is very interesting, because this could ride on these playoffs this week. And what I mean by that is, if they are rooting, I think, for Philly and Dallas to both win.
To both win.
They're rooting for them to both win because believe it or not, Sirianni and Mike McCarthy might be coaching for their jobs this week.
Yeah.
If you can believe that.
Of course.
So if they both win,
Gotcha.
then I think it's a better chance that Arthur Blank shells out a ton of money to try and get Bill Belichick. It's a long shot.
It's a long shot. I just think wherever he goes, it's just going to be a huge story. Is Belichick going to not want all the power though? That's the question.
Yeah, and he has said that he's open to other people input. Like I don't think he rules his iron fist as what some people think. But then you got to be like, well, is he going to bring his kids along with the coaching staff? And
yes, is he just going to bring everybody with him? We're going to see Josh McDaniels back there as well. And they have the 8th pick in the draft. Do you see them? Yes. Do you see them getting another tight end? No. Do you see them picking up a quarterback in that first round? Or if Belichick's there, don't you think they'd want to get somebody a little bit more established?
Yeah, that's tough because I think 3 quarterbacks could go in the first 3 picks, and then
Jimmy G, baby, reunite.
Could be, yeah. There could be a couple veteran quarterbacks on the market. That Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So yeah, there could be a couple veteran quarterbacks on the market this year. I don't know what they would do with that 8th pick. Feels like defense, but I mean they've got the offensive weapons, man, and they got a good offensive line. They just need a quarterback.
You put Russell Wilson on the Falcons this year. They're 10-7. They're not 7-10. I mean, they
Yeah.
are. I mean, that's easy. So I think that
Arthur
may not
Smith
be
was terrible.
Yes. Oh, it was bad. It was really bad. And thank you for that transition, because our final, as of now, opening the Carolina Panthers. And I think this is, with the owner, with the way he's handled situations with the coaches. It goes back and forth. Obviously, Frank Reich said he didn't say, but it was basically said he wanted Stroud, right? Of course, he says that now. Is Bryce Young someone that you think a coach coming in can build upon, or would you want to stay away from this? And then who do you think is ultimately going to get the job?
Yeah, this one's tough, man, because who knows? I think the bigger issue is who wants to work for Tepper.
Yes,
I think
100%.
I think there could be a coach that could look, man. The separation that the wide receivers got from Carolina this year, dead last in the league, and I think if you bring in some wide receiver weapons, now they don't have the number 1 pick, obviously, but you have to bring in some weapons for Bryce Young. I still think under the right offense, he can be better. This was a tough year to assess him, so I don't want to totally be out on him.
Yeah,
but somehow in this, in my predictions here, somehow Carolina ends up getting the guy who I wanted the Bears to get all along, and Ben Johnson. And there's been like no talk about him going to Carolina. So who knows if this happens or not, but with all the dominoes that are falling here, somehow Carolina could end up with Ben Johnson. It just depends on whether or not he wants to go there or not. I've heard that he wants a lot of money, and Tepper has a lot of money. So, I mean, that's where I'm pointing to. And he wants to win. I think Ben Johnson is a fantastic play caller. I think maybe Carolina needs a culture shock too. I don't know if he necessarily brings that as compared to Harbaugh or Belichick, but I just don't see them.
I can't see them. I mean, that's just hitting too. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. So to recap, Williams, we've got Seattle going with Dan Quinn, New England going with Mike Vrabel, Tennessee, Bobby Slowick, the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, Raiders are going to keep Pierce, Washington with Bieniemy, Atlanta with Belichick, and Carolina with Ben Johnson for the early recap there for the new coaching positions that are open. And obviously, we still may have more to come in the next week or so. Now, let's get in the playoffs, bud. We got some games to play. I want a couple of tidbits. I don't need ref stats for all these, all right? Although 1 or 2 is fine. Browns and Texans, 2 teams that at the beginning of the season, we really didn't think they would be in this position, but 2 teams that are also playing pretty well right now. I'm excited to see what you have to say about Browns Texans, because I think it's a win either way, whoever wins this game.
Yeah, these are my 2 guys. These are my 2 head coaches for head coach of the year. Hopefully one of them comes in. I think they should name the 3 finalists pretty soon, but hopefully one of them can take down the hardware there. The Browns, so check this stat out, will become the first team since the 1970 merger to play a playoff game without their week 1 starting quarterback, without their week 1 starting running back, without their week 1 starting left tackle, and without their week 1 starting right tackle. Can you believe that? Watson, Chubb, Conklin, and Wills are all on the IR. What a job by Stefanski there. 27% of the Browns' salary cap is on the IR. That's the highest of any of the playoff teams. And then you get to Houston, +7 wins were the highest win improvement in the league. So that tells you right there, these are the 2 front runners for coach of the year. I mean, Stroud was fantastic all year versus that zone cover 3. But when the Texans faced their top 2 toughest pass defenses this year, in the Jets and the Browns, they lost both those games. And no coincidence that both teams play a ton of man. In Stroud versus zone, he was top 3 in EPA per dropback. Versus man, Stroud was bottom 5 in EPA per dropback. And since week 9 versus man, Stroud grades out as dead last, if you can believe that. So he goes from playing the number 2 zone-heavy team in the Colts, That's why I like that matchup for Houston last week to the number
good.
one man-heavy team in the Browns. And, Cleveland -2, taking 71% of the money. That's plus 7% of the handle in this one. I don't really have a pick for this one. I think it's going to be interesting. I would lean Browns barely just because of the experience that Flacco and that defense has over the rookie quarterback and the rookie head coach.
So yeah, I did forget to mention that. Sorry, I'm not the host of the NFL show usually. Okay, it's my bad. Williams is going to have one pick for us this week because there's just a lot of tidbits going on. In one of the biggest losses, I think, in probably a decade or so by the Miami Dolphins when they lost that game, they have to go to Arrowhead now to face the Chiefs in frigid temperatures that the Chiefs can't practice in all week, even for a little bit, where Miami right now isn't in the negatives. How do you think that's going to play in for the Chiefs and Dolphins?
Yeah, this is a bummer, man, because I had
Yep.
I had the Dolphins making the Super Bowl this year to start the year, and they've been killed by injuries. If you remove the quarterback position, the Dolphins have lost the most wins above replacement due to injuries this year. Now they do get right guard Robert Hunt will be back. Seems like Waddle and Mostert are expected to go. And Casey is dead last in run stop win rate. They're about bottom 5 in EPA per rush allowed. It's going to be super cold. I expect Miami to run the ball a lot.
Which is good because they can.
Yeah. And out of 43 qualified passers, when kept clean, Tua is number 1 in yards per pass attempt, 7th in adjusted accuracy. But when he is pressured, he's just 27th in yards per pass attempt, 39th in adjusted accuracy. You talk about the Dolphins D. They're without Jalen Phillips, without Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker, Cam Good, Andrew Van Ginkel. I mean, the list goes on and on. Miami's plus 4.5 is taking 55% of the money, 13% of the handle. And that, like what you said, the temperature, the Dolphins have lost 9 straight games under 40 degrees. That dates back to 2017. And Tua has never won a game when the starting temperature is 48 degrees or colder. It's going to be much colder than that.
48 degrees or colder?
Yeah.
Wow. He needs to wear that. He needs to wear that diving suit that Tom Brady used to wear underneath just to make sure he keeps warm. Yeah,
this is the only game I have ref stats for. Brad Rogers is reffing this game. The Chiefs have played 3 games with Rogers reffing. They're averaging just 2 penalties per game in 3 games. That seems ridiculously low. And as for the Dolphins, they've had Rodgers in 2 games. They're averaging almost 10 penalties per game.
Not a fan of Miami.
Yeah, Chiefs are 3-0 on the money line with Brad Rogers officiating this season. I jumped in on the Chiefs money line earlier in the week. I got that at like minus 164. Now it's up to like minus over 200. So I would lean towards Chiefs just money line here. I don't love laying points with this terrible Chiefs offense, if you can believe that, with Mahomes. But I just think the Dolphins are just so banged up. They're going to have to try and run the ball here and try and get out with a win. But, man, it's going to be so cold. And this sets up perfectly for the Chiefs, too, because the Dolphins played a late Sunday night, and now they have to play on Saturday and short rest. It's brutally cold. I lean Chiefs money line here.
I think a loss by the Chiefs here would say so much, and I think a lot would change by next year. I mean, obviously.
I think Matt Nagy would be gone.
It's our boy. Well, hey, listen, he can call all the plays to throw the receivers, and the receivers can be there. Matt Nagy cannot catch the ball. Neither can his receivers, but Matt Nagy cannot catch.
True. But, man, I mean, coaching is so valuable in this league, and Matt Nagy is just not it.
Not it. Big pressure game for your Dallas Cowboys. Big pressure game. Chris King I'm sure he's got to be worried because the Packers have a little confidence, maybe a little cockiness going right now. And Jordan Love is playing well. Do you think the Packers have it in them, or is the Dallas defense just going to be too much?
Yeah, this game's interesting. The Packers are the youngest team to reach the playoffs since the 1974 Bills. They've won 6 of 8, backed by Jordan Love's 18 touchdowns to 1 pick, if you can believe that. And post-bye, this Cowboys D has not been great. 48% of passes and 44% of runs have graded successfully against them. That's 21st and 30th in the league. And the Cowboys, believe it or not, have played a bottom 10 schedule of opposing offenses as well. So they take a massive step up here playing this pack offense. What this defense does do well, number one in pass rush win rate for the Cowboys, but the Packers are number 2 in pass block win rate. And since Thanksgiving, Jordan Love is number 2 in EPA plus completion percentage over expectation. That's a fancy QB stat. Packers are 3rd in the league in points per game scored on the road this year, believe it or not, being the youngest team. And all 5 of their losses on the road have been by 4 points or less. Wildcard trends, single digit road dogs are 46, 16, and 1, 74% against the spread since 2003. And so, yeah, I mean, Stephon Gilmore is battling a shoulder injury, and Love has been better, far better versus man this season. Dallas plays man at a top 4 rate. So I think this +7 is too much here. I would lean Packers +7. And I'm telling you what, man, Mike McCarthy better be careful, because if this game is close in the end, you know how bad at time clock management he is. And Mike Florio, the reporter on the NBC Sunday Night Football, came out and said, don't be shocked if one of these playoff teams, if they go out with an early exit, if there could be a coaching change. And I looked at everyone playing, and I was like, the only guy that registers to me is Mike McCarthy. So we could get to another guy a little bit later where that would seem crazy to me. But Mike McCarthy better win this game if he's Mike McCarthy. If you're a Cowboys fan, I don't know what you root for. It'd be interesting to see what Chris thinks.
You root to win. That's what Chris is going to think. Rod says that they should lose to get the better draft pick, but they should. And hey,
I'm
by
not
the way,
I'm not even talking about a draft pick. I'm talking about a possible coach that could be out there, and you know what Chris thinks about that possible coach, and that would be so interesting.
That would be amazing.
If Jerry Jones could put his ego aside and hire Bill Belichick. Oh my God.
What would also be amazing if one of our viewers right now, if you have any questions or comments, please throw them in the chat and we'll get to them for sure. It's at the Morgan, at Twitter, but you can just throw it in. Williams, I want an actual pick from you here. Okay. I want to pick. This is my favorite game coming forward. I think the Lions and Rams is fascinating on every area. I step on your toes. So I want you to give me some stats, and then I want to pick Lions and Rams. Go.
Yeah, first time Detroit is hosting a playoff game in 30 years since Brett Favre and Sterling Shepard broke their heart in 1993. First time ever where we have a game where both quarterbacks are going up against their former team. That's interesting. I think the Rams have ran exceptionally well this year. And that was the one future that I was way off on. I took the Rams under 6.5, but man, I don't think anybody saw this coming here. Puka Nacua, a random 5th rounder, sets all kinds of records. The O-line is massively overachieved. The D-line is massively overachieved. Stafford, who was coming into the year with a spinal surgery, basically strung together with rubber bands and plastic. He's had a fantastic year. And Kyron Williams, who ran a 4.6 at the 40 at the combine, which is not great for a running back, he goes ham all year and becomes a top 5 running back in the league. You're like, what? How did all this go right for the Rams? They won, I think, 7 out of the last 8, but they also won 3 games this year by 1 point. They also won an overtime game against the Colts. Everybody loves them as their darlings for not just this round, but the whole playoffs. I've heard people make the case for them to be the NFC representative this year, which just blows my mind.
Really?
I can't see that at all. Rams +3 are taking a bunch of money, but I'm on the other side here. I think Detroit -3 is the play. I think Jared Goff is going to be super motivated to prove to the Rams that they made a mistake, even though they didn't because they won the Super Bowl with Stafford. But I think he's motivated. And what do you get? They can withstand pressure, and he's playing indoors. That's when you go against Goff, you go against him when there's going to be pressure against him when he's playing outside in the cold. That's neither here. And the Lions do a good job of stopping the run and getting pressure. The Rams are going to be able to throw on Detroit. I get that. But I think this crowd is going to be absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
I think they have a chance to set the all-time decibel record with this crowd. They are going to be going bananas for this team. I think there's too much love for this Rams team. I think I think their overachieving season comes to an end. I'll take Detroit -3 on Sunday Night Football. What a great game. Stafford coming back to Detroit.
I do love both of these teams, and it does think that one team is going to be out. I tend to agree with you, though. I want to see the Lions move forward. Continuing that story is great. Rams had their story. They did a lot this season they weren't supposed to do. McVay kind of reestablishes himself as that coach that can take a little and make a lot out of that. So those are all the game. Oh yeah, wait, I forgot. Wait, that was a Peacock game. It's a Peacock game too, is the Lions and Rams, right?
No, that's Saturday night. They put Mahomey. They put Mahomey and the Dolphins on Peacock, and that the Sunday night game is on NBC, I believe. We actually skipped the Pittsburgh Buffalo game. You want me to go over that?
Oh, we did. That's my bad. Yes, and then
I don't have much.
We have Eagles. We have Eagles Bucks still, but Pittsburgh and Buffalo.
Yeah, Pittsburgh Buffalo. Sunday 1:00. I believe that's CBS. Yeah, when TJ Watt plays, the Steelers D goes from 7th in EPA per play allowed to 31st when Watt doesn't play. And this is a weather game, supposed to have 15 to 20 mile per hour sustained winds with gusts up to 35 to 40 miles per hour. Some sharps have hit the Josh Allen rushing attempts over, if that floats your boat. And the Steelers +10 is taking 61% of the money. That's +14% of the handle. We know how good Tomlin is as a dog. The only thing here is they don't have TJ Watt. So you hate laying points with Buffalo, with Josh Allen. This is a stay away game for me. I think Buffalo probably wins, but I just don't like laying 10 points here in a playoff game against Tomlin. And I've heard that there's rumors that this could be Tomlin's last game. I cannot believe that. So who knows what's going on there?
And maybe people are waiting again, because I think they actually have to wait in anyway to start interviewing. But yeah, what if Tomlin is gone? That would be ridiculous. I mean, what does he have to do? I know the offense wasn't the greatest. Okay, that's fine, but it's called winning, and he does that all the time.
Yeah, how many big names are we gonna have in this coaching carousel? I mean, this is insane off season, and it's not even off season yet.
Can you believe Mike Tomlin would be the third name if you have Pete Carroll in there? Mike Vrabel, who's a terrific head coach, would be he's fourth on the list. It's fine. Ben Johnson's sitting in the back saying, "I thought I was going to have my pick. I may not get anything. I may have to go to Carolina and get yelled at all the time and get paid to work for 1 year for 5 years."
The Bears should reassess this. I mean, seriously. I know that they said that they're going to bring Eberflus back, but they should seriously reassess their evaluation. I mean, I would
love that. That would be the last regime Bears. That's totally a Bears thing to do. The last regime. They're not going to do that now, but it'd be great. Kevin Warren come out. Yeah, the continuity. Whatever. We're going to go. We found somebody better. All right, Eagles Bucks. Let's wrap this thing up with Eagles and Bucks. A lot of stories in this too with the Eagles. This could be a big loss if they do that.
Yeah, boy. ESPN got the turd of the playoff game here. Eagles are trending about as bad as you can get. These are two teams that are banged up. I mean, for Philly, it's A.J. Brown, it's Devontae Smith. And for Tampa, it's Baker.
Are they good? Are they integral to the offense at all?
Yeah. I mean, you got to get them going. And for Baker, I mean, his ribs are not 100%. That's clear. I mean, they didn't even score double digits against Carolina last week. They were lucky to win that game. So – and whoever wins this game is at a scheduling disadvantage coming off a Monday night playoff game in which the team that won this game last year lost their next game. That was Dallas. I kind of like a prop. I kind of like K. Otten prop over 21.5 receiving yards. I feel like Philly is going to sell out to try and stop Evans and Godwin with that terrible secondary. I think Baker could hit K. Otten here for a couple of catches. At Philly -3 is taking 64% of the money. That's +4% of the handle. There is sharp money coming in on Philly, but I just feel like that's just going against Tampa because they just don't think Tampa's that good. These are two teams that even if they win this game, whoever wins this game, I do not see them getting out with a win in their next game, especially if they play San Francisco.
I was going to say that San Francisco might be tough.
I think either team is going to be double-digit dogs out at San Francisco.
So if you had to, and this does not count against your record, but if you had to lay, where are you picking?
I'm going to say Philly somehow gets it done, but that is not strong at all. And if Philly doesn't win, I've heard that there's rumblings with Nick Sirianni because you kind of saw this year what this offense and defense was without Shane Steichen and without Jonathan Gannon. And maybe they lost some of the brain trust. And you got Matt Patricia there now calling plays defensively, and he's just an absolute train wreck. And so the Philly fans are not.
Don't worry, he'll be in Atlanta with Belichick next year.
Oh, my God. No, don't do it.
OC, baby.
So this game is I do not like either team in this game.
Okay, so Williams thinks this will be a tie. I like that.
What if it goes in overtime?
So before we go here, we do have to talk about the big Michigan win. National champions Michigan. Jim Harbaugh. Calm down. Is probably looking to leave, but what a dominant performance by Michigan, though. I mean, it was close score-wise, but they were bigger, faster, stronger throughout most of that game.
Yeah. As a Notre Dame fan, you hate to see it, but I know a couple Michigan fans that were very, very happy.
Hey, I'm a former Ohio State employee. Believe me, I think they shut down campus after that happened.
So, yeah, Washington missed a couple plays, and you can tell right from the start that they were just a little off. And I think – I tell you what, man, if there becomes another coaching vacancy, I don't know. It's so tough to say. I was going to go out on a limb there, but I won't.
Go on a limb. Come on, let's go.
Michigan is I think they'll go with their offensive coordinator if Harbaugh leaves. And what's interesting is that October 5th, I think next year, that's a rematch. That's a conference game.
Yeah,
Michigan goes out to Washington.
Crazy. Yeah.
And we get to do the 12-team playoff this year. I think college football was kind of down this year. I've heard that doesn't take anything away from Michigan, but no. I've heard that Michigan would have been 4.5-point favorites or 4.5-point dogs to any of the winners of the last decade of the college football playoff. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But Washington just didn't have good gap discipline in the first quarter, and that killed them.
73 right tackle, bad day.
Yeah,
bad day for him.
Bad day.
And then obviously Penix couldn't even breathe, I think, in the fourth quarter at all. So, really a shout out to him. Unfortunately, I think his draft stock fell a little bit with all those injuries.
I think that's the key. I think that's the key is the injuries. I feel like everyone has a bad day or two.
Of course.
But I think it's the injuries that are going to keep him, out of the top 10. He could go in the first round, maybe second round. But man, when he's on, he's so fun to watch. But the Michigan defensive coordinator and the whole Michigan staff did a great job at just throwing him all kinds of different NFL looks.
Yes.
And so when you talk about that, I mean I feel like those coaches could be future NFL coaches with how good that defense was.
All right, and that's going to do it for this week's Balls and Brew. Who got fired? Well, everyone got fired. That's why we talked about it in the first half. We've got a Yeah We Know podcast coming up next week, as well as all of the recaps from this weekend in professional football. We will also see if any of these coaching changes have taken place. Williams, really appreciate you here. Chris, hope everything goes good with the move. Rod, going to have Rod back here because we can't do this without him for more than 44 minutes. So I've got about 16 minutes left, Williams. You ready to get out of here?
I'm ready, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on. And it was a fun year, and hopefully these playoffs are awesome as well. And I'm sure there will be.